Good morning, guys. Um, Here we are in New York. I have the incredible pleasure to introduce this session. I am David Lomelí, currently artistic consultant for the Dallas Opera. I used to work for the company. I was the first original manager of the Hart Institute for Women Conductors, an administrative program for about 4 years. Um, and now I am also part of the Bayerische Staatsopera as a consultant, and I'm the chief artistic officer at the Santa Fe Opera. But today, besides having our incredible participants that I think a few of the people that are following us together from this week know already, Micah Gleason, Shira Samuel Schrag, Maria Benyumola, and Jinchi Zhu, I believe, if I didn't murder your name that bad. Thank you. And I'm joined here today with one of the superstars of our industry. I have the incredible pleasure to work with him regularly. He's one of my biggest mentors. And he had an incredible week recently. His name is Serge Dorny. He's the current intendant at the Bayerische Staatsopera. And before I kind of really let him go for it, I want to read a tiny bit of his bio because it's really something else. You know, I sometimes I joke a lot with him, but then I read the bio and I get a little nervous. Serge Dorny was born in Gavilgem in Belgium. He began his theater career in the dramaturg team under Gérard Mortier at the Théâtre de la Monnaie in Brussels. He went then to the Festival of Flanders, where he was appointed artistic director in 1987, where he revitalized the festival program with new repertoire and innovative programming, offering Baroque and contemporary, invited big and significant orchestras, discovered a lot of people, launched careers like Ivan Fischer, Valery Gergiev, Sir Simon Rattle, Isabella Salonen, when they were debuting. He was later appointed General Artistic Director of the London Philharmonic in 1996, where he named Kurt Masur and Vladimir Jurovsky the principal conductors. He brought Marius Jansons, Bernard Haitink, Wolfgang Sawallisch. It was a really great time. And later in 2003, he went to be the General and Artistic Director at Opera Lyon that won the International Opera Awards as Best Company of the Year. And now recently, you know, in 2021, he was appointed General Intendant of the Bayerische Staatsoper, one of the biggest and mightiest companies of the world, where Mozart and Wagner had world premieres. And he also last week just won Best Company Opera of the Year with the Bayerische Staatsoper at the International Opera Awards last week. For me, it's an honor to have him as part of my mentors. And Serge Dorny, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much for joining us. And it's no applause. I mean, it's David was asking me how you feel about being this year Opera Company of the Year. I think this is the past. We have to look at the future. Actually, you know, that means we got something for what we did. And I mean, we are, and your conductors. So I think administrators, conductors, we cannot live with the nostalgia of the past. We have to live with the nostalgia of the future. And you're as good as your last performance. So as a conductor, you will know. You can't say 2 years ago I did something great. You know, it's the point is hic et nunc. Now is important. So yeah, I think it's an honor to meeting you all and new faces, people I don't know yet. You know that I will also meet in January in Dallas and seeing you conducting. I'm really looking forward to that. That's always a very interesting exercise. That's where, and we will have the opportunity also to have a conversation actually about how you imagine your career, where you are, and what. I mean, advice is, you know, there's not one advice. You should not go by one advice. You know, it's my advice may be totally wrong. You know, it's important also that whatever you do, you are convinced of it, of what you're doing. And I think what you have to keep in mind, whether people online, whether you, I mean, there is you have to have an ambition in life. You want to, I mean, even if that ambition is you're not sure whether you will get what you imagine, but it's important to have a trajectory, to know where you want to go. But the only thing you have to be aware of, that trajectory will not be a straight line. It will be, it will be, as long as you get closer to your ambition, to the goalpost you have fixed yourself. This is important. I mean, don't it's important to, in my life, and especially having worked in different cultures. I worked, so I'm Belgian born, Dutch spoken. I went to UK, I went to France, now I'm in Germany. The point is that each time, each one of those cultures has a different approach, a different way of doing things, and it questions yourself each time. It's a bit the same if you're going to work with an orchestra. Not two orchestras are the same. You cannot be in a kind of repetitive mode and saying what worked with one orchestra will work with another one. You have to be honest to yourself and don't lie to yourself. That's for sure. But how you then actually will deliver, or how you will work with that without changing your convictions, it's important. Each time you will have to react differently. And so therefore it's important to hear and to maybe to integrate what you hear. I mean, absolutely, but don't change the reasoning why you're doing things. Don't change, but maybe you will have to adjust a few things, and it's important. This is therefore the feedback is always an important one. I had I say this having worked in totally different cultures. If they are, if your colleagues, if you are successful, you are successful. And of course, the point is you guide, you give a direction, and then of course but you have to. There has to be, an element of an important element of not of overt leadership, what they say, but covert leadership.
That's fantastic. I wanted to, from what you said, it came a couple of things. One, and I will address just one thing before though, from the questions, that the difference of repertoire in BSO and Santa Fe. For Santa Fe, really about how we select conductors. It's only 5 operas a season. Normally our music director, it's Stagione, exactly. Our music director is for sure, Haribik is going to do 1, if not 2, depending the programming, budget requirements. And so there's normally 3 spots to give per year. And here is a very particular situation, because I would say I feel our orchestra really demands that the conductor that is in the Santa Fe Opera themselves, they feel that, because we select the orchestra from many other major orchestras, and they come to do kind of gather in the summer, right? And they have their tenure. It's a very proud orchestra, and they play really well in every summer. So they want that level. They particularly want somebody very much in control of the room. They want to know that the piece. So almost, even if you're going to have 5 or 6 or 7 reads for whatever piece, they want you to know the corners from the first time in that sense. So I have to say that it's tricky a little bit to debut somebody in a piece in Santa Fe, considering that we also open the piece in 4 weeks. No matter what, a new production there is turned around in 4 weeks. So we don't constantly in Europe, we do sometimes 6 or more, depending the production. And there's a lot of attention in musical rehearsals.
But I will contradict him. I will contradict him. The point is that an orchestra needs to know that you know the piece, of course, but it doesn't mean you cannot do it differently. An orchestra, there is a kind of collective memory. In an orchestra, they have done that piece. They have done Brahms 4 over and over and over, and there you come. And the point is, of course, you need to know that, but it is possible to do it differently, as long as they know that. I mean, you know that piece. I mean, it's if you want to do it differently, they have quickly to understand that you know that piece inside, outside, and what you're talking about, that it is you're talking with knowledge about it, and therefore you will. The thing is that what you don't want to do, in my opinion, I mean, is just to awake a collective memory, to activate a collective memory, and to play and to put them on an automatic pilot. You know, saying, oh yeah, we have done this Brahms 3, oh Brahms 4, we have done it. You know, and yeah, we've done with this guy. We just F1 we start. You know, no. The point is that I think it's a very good that you are demanding. If I look at somebody like Kirill Petrenko, you know, the music director of the Berlin Philharmonic, and he was music director of Bayerische Staatsopera. The point is that he knows his pieces, his conduct inside, outside, and he is capable actually of changing a sound or changing an approach because he knows it inside, and he will not let it go. And the point is, he is able to capture the attention of the musicians because he knows, and because also he is extremely, and this is important, very humble person. He almost apologizes. He is good, you know. If you and the thing is, it's interesting. There are two conductors. I can again not give the names of these conductors that have the same repertoire. The two Baroque conductors. So you can, yeah. But I will not say more there too. It's interesting. They both cannot conduct. They technically. They are not equipped. I mean, they have weaknesses. Yeah, they have great imagination, but technically, purely technically, they will be. I mean, for an orchestra, it's not easy. It's a compromise. But they are great musicians. Interesting enough, one is extremely friendly to orchestras, respectful to orchestras. He trusts musicians and value musicians. The other one is just the opposite. I will not utilize words to describe that, but you can just, it is interesting. They make the same technical mistakes, the same ones. For one conductor, the orchestra will compensate completely. For the other one, he will have cash. He will pay for it cash. So it's very interesting. So this means that, you know, this one conductor, they are both great musicians. They have both lots to say. But how do you convey that? How do you convey that? You know, so the thing is to come back, and because David is right. I mean, you cannot, you need to know the piece, but I think you can. It is possible to demand different things. What you don't want, music and art can never be an automatic pilot. You know, you are not an automatic pilot. You are human beings. You have something to say. You have to, but as long as you know what you're talking about, as long as you can take them on board, because they understood, you know, that piece, and you know exactly where you want to go. It's not just, you know, a detail you want to change. It's a concept you want to change, and you have a right idea about what you want to do. And this, if they can understand that, this is. Sorry, David.
No. But they go with you. I agree. I have seen a certain, like, you know, at the same time I want to have a certain rapport with the orchestra that gives the sound, the energy that we want to market to, and there's a certain markers, let's say, that if you're going to debut for the first time a piece at the Santa Fe Opera, the expectation then is that every single idea that you're going to bring and your technique is very, very, very clear. It's an orchestra that is very proudful, so they're going to compensate even if they don't like you that much. But then the surveys here in America, the conductors, there's something that you should know. In America, the Association of Musicians, the American Federation of Musicians, they keep scores. and of the orchestra survey. So if you're a member of the American Federation, like Santa Fe Opera, Dallas Opera is, we can request those numbers, those evaluations of conductors of every opera house that or symphony that is member of the federation. So you actually, the moment that you get into the American circuit, you actually start getting ranked.
Don't listen to him. Don't listen to him. The point is that absolutely, you know, it's so interesting. I mean, he is right. I mean, but the point is, I talk now to the artistic administrators that are sitting also on that online. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is the orchestra's assessment is not the only element one should take on. Oh no, we don't. Because I mean, what is being assessed? I give an example. So a conductor that I like very much, that is not with us either anymore, Gennady Rozhesvensky. Have you ever heard of this conductor? Gennady Rozhesvensky, Russian. Extraordinary technique, you know, it's but the point is he was at music director of the BBC Symphony Orchestra at some point. And when he was there, he cancelled a lot of rehearsals. So every time when there was a new program, he would shorten the rehearsals, he would cancel rehearsals, and he was liked by the orchestra. Hopefully he cancelled rehearsals. And I mean, now he was a good conductor. This is not, but I'm just saying you have to be careful with this assessment. I mean, when I arrived at the London Philharmonic Orchestra, there was this list. I found by coincidence in one of the drawers a list of evaluations of conductors. I cannot give you scores here because it would, but I mean some of the very good conductors, famous conductors that conducted major orchestras received very poor scoring.
That's very true.
You know, and some world famous unknown conductors that you have never heard of and you haven't missed anything, and they received enormously high scores, you know. I mean, and I'm saying high scores 100%, so not like 80. So the point is that there was I have to be careful here. There was a guy, a conductor, which was called, the orchestra called him Mr. Marvelous, and he was because he was so friendly, and whatever they did, however good or bad it was, he always said marvelous. Let's do it again, please. And so the point is that he got 100%. You know, it's but you know, you have to be careful. I mean, of course, this is an important element one has to take into consideration, but you have to put it into perspective. You know, I'm tempted to give you names, but I cannot. But I mean, of scoring of people, which you would be gobsmacked when I would tell you. You know, so the thing is important, but I hope administrators, I mean, so the ones that I cannot see here, I see 4 lovely conductors, but I mean the ones that are, I mean, please, this is you have to have an own opinion. If you have no opinion, you know, you really have to question what you're doing. Actually, you know, it's why you're there. And the thing is that at some point in time, people have given an opportunity to Esa-Pekka Salonen. I mean, when he was 24 or 25, and when he was, somebody gave him an opportunity. I'm sure he didn't have 100% of the orchestras, but actually people were able to look behind, you know, and just imagine what it could be. You know, and this is important. You know, the best conductors are the ones that are dead. You know, if you speak to an orchestra, they say, well, Klemperer was extraordinary, you know. Yeah, but you know, I called him, he doesn't respond. He doesn't answer the phone. Actually, you know, so the thing is that you have to be. This is why I'm saying let's invent the future. Let's invent that. I mean, saying the past was better, this will not bring us any further. You know, we have to work with tomorrow in mind, and so this exists. You have to be aware of it.
Yeah.
But it should not be a terrifying. I mean, it should not change your operation. You know, it should not. Because if you will try to please, you're not in a job of pleasing. Actually, okay. This is. If you want to please, you have to do something different. You know, you have chosen unfortunately, the wrong job. Yeah.
You touch many things that we had in the questions that people send in advance to prepare the session, because you touch about, how much of the orchestra input goes into hiring people, and it's there, like they give their opinions to everybody. And of course, sometimes if you feel like there was an incredible success, artistic, marketing, and then with the musicians, it's a very easy re-engagement, right? Like you got the three things that happen there. So, but at the same time, yes, we use sometimes, like, no matter what, we're gonna keep challenge the orchestra, because even if they complain, it's where they sounded incredibly together, or they give a certain dimension that sometimes in that places of conflict is where a lot of beauty happens. So I'm agree with you that you take it into advance into something.
Thank you.
but you still make your decisions. I think also the question now is, okay, we have the repertoire people, we have the specialists for the shows that we're going to do, but you have had a very particular experience naming principal conductors, music directors for the institutions and choosing accordingly. So from the myriad of people that you have associated with each institution, how do you say this is the one? How, like, if I would walk us, for example, a little bit in the process, I don't know if you want to talk about how you kind of went for Vladimir in the moment when you choose him, or how, the principal guest that you have chosen in the past, like what is the particular thing that is like, because I know, because I have talked to you in the past, not always has been just your feeling. It's like, what is best for the institution? How can we take it to the future? So we have had it, but I want to bring in this.
I remember my early days at the London Philharmonic Orchestra. I was a young boy, actually. Probably too early for me, but I was 32 when I was appointed artistic director and managing director of the London Philharmonic Orchestra. And I remember this was a period of crisis in the orchestra. They were looking for a new music director, and it was a period after a conductor that I like very much, but he was young at that point. Frans Velsen-Möst was the music director of the London Philharmonic Orchestra. He was young, and maybe this was at that time in his career, and especially the way London orchestras operate, the speed, maybe for that, and therefore the repertoire that is required, I mean, was maybe not the right position at that moment in time, and he didn't succeed completely. And yet I repeat, it is a conductor I have a high regard for Frans Velsen-Möst. Just in case he watches, actually, but I have a very high. I mean, so anyway. The point is that I arrive at that time where this goes pear-shaped, and so he is leaving and I had in my mind when I was appointed, in my mind a conductor I wanted to have for this position as music director. It was another young conductor. It doesn't matter who it is, yeah. And after 2 weeks working with London Philharmonic Orchestra and listening to them and listening to the musicians, I understood that my opinion or my idea was a wrong idea. And I tell you why that was. Before Frans Velsen-Möst, and this was also one of the complications for Frans, there was a music director called Klaus Stenstedt. Does that ring a bell? Yeah, very important German conductor. And the period where he was music director, I think he was also music director in one of the American orchestras at some point. Was that Pittsburgh or Pittsburgh? So he the London Philharmonic Orchestra and Klaus Stenstedt was a marriage made in heaven. It was extraordinary, really fantastic. I mean, look at all the recordings on EMI. It is really fantastic, and the orchestra adored him. And the relationship ended abruptly because he was sick. And in the middle of rehearsal, he walks out, and they will never see him anymore. So they hadn't been able to actually say goodbye to him. And they were living with that kind of memory, this regret, and missing this musician. And so therefore, anyone coming in afterwards, was obviously automatically compared with Klaus Stenstedt, because they wanted Klaus Stenstedt. They didn't want anything else. So Franz Welser-Möst was already, to some extent, you should have had basically a break and say we will do it for a few years without, in order to be able to turn that page. They were in a mourning process. Mm-hmm. I mean, and so when I realized that actually I needed to help them to turn a chapter, to turn a page, and therefore I had to have a music director or a conductor that reminded them of Klaus Stenstedt, that belonged to a same tradition, that belonged to. So I appointed Kurt Masur as because they worked together, they were same school, they were close musically related, and so on and so forth. And then I asked Vladimir Jurovsky, who was the young Vladimir, Jurovsky, I think he was 25, to become principal guest conductor, and later on he became the music director. So the point is, you may have somebody in mind, but you have to listen to the orchestra. You have to make sure that, first of all, you cannot appoint a music director that has not worked with your orchestra. You have to know what the chemistry in between the orchestra is and the conductor. The good thing is we don't fall in love with the same man or the same woman. Fortunately, it's good to have so it's about chemistry. It's about and in an orchestra it's the same thing. They will, for one conductor, they will do everything, and for another conductor, not necessarily. So it is important that actually that how an orchestra has reacted to something. You cannot impose a music director to an orchestra, and then you have to have a strategy. What do you need? For example, Bayerische Staatsopera is a repertoire opera house, so it means a lot of repertoire, and it means not always luxurious rehearsal opportunities. So if you're going to appoint somebody as music director, you have to have somebody that has a repertoire, somebody that actually has a broader repertoire and is in the known, is familiar, has a he can pick up on repertoire easily or fast. If you are in a Stagione system, for example, Royal Opera House, well, the thing is, every piece is rehearsed 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. So the decision on the music director there can be a totally different one, because even if your music director does not have the broadest repertoire, he will be offered rehearsal time actually too. So I'm just saying it's a whole set of criteria you have to take into consideration. Where do you want to go? What do you want? What is going to be your focus in terms of repertoire? Is it going to be Italian? Is it going to be, what is it actually? So it's not just name dropping. It's analyzing what actually you want, what you need. In America, obviously, also the element of fundraising will be one of the elements you will have to take into consideration. So how can they connect? What type of communicator are they?
Can they speak in public?
Kind of. So this might all be, for some it will be also, is outreach and community work. It is something they are interested in or not? I mean, so I'm just saying there's a whole set of things you have, but obviously I would hope that the musical performance, I mean, your conducting skills, the musician you are, should come first. But there is a various criteria you have to tick at. But I would hope that also our administrators online never compromise on that musical quality, on those skills. Actually, that's the basis. And that's what will convince the orchestra. That's what will convince the musicians.
On that note, because we're having 5 minutes before we close this online session, and you went pretty fast, fascinating stuff in all you said, but now, for conductors and administrators both that are listening our session, and you guys that are here with us, what is, if you have 5 minutes, so what is what a conductor or an administrator that want to work with you, what are you looking for? Like, you said, not compromising in who they are. You said, like trying to always have a certain degree of ambition plus discipline. You mentioned a lot, like how you invest your time, but if you can tell us a little bit when you have fun, and I have seen how you recruit conductors and administrators both ways. You're very particular and very systematic at the same time.
Okay, really? Okay. So no, I would say for me, I do not want to compromise simply on quality. This is for me absolutely essential. What I'm looking for, David, I really don't know actually what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is, I would say, I used it last time. I would use it at the same time this time. I'm looking for 3 letters. I'm looking for TLC. I'm looking for somebody that is, that is invested time. That is hardworking. Is time, labor, and commitment. I would say TLC, but also tender love and care. It's tender love and care. And so the thing is, I think what we need in our profession is, it's not a 9-to-5 job. It doesn't stop, and it never starts. It's always there. And the thing is that, I will be looking for people that have this kind of madness. I will be looking for people that, are constantly in search. I will be looking for people that are restless, obviously with moderation,
like we are moderation.
No, but it's important. The point is that because it's exactly that will enthuse an orchestra, performers, but also an audience. I remember Kirill Petrenko. I'll give that as an example. I remember Kirill Petrenko conducting in my previous opera house, Lyon, Onegin, Tchaikovsky, and we'd done 10 performances, I think, and one day I see him at the end of a run. I see him in the corridor, totally puzzled, and I tell him, Kirill, is everything okay? Is you seem to be concerned and worried. Can I help you? And no, I'm thinking, yeah. So, and he tells, what is the problem? And I said, well, I got a phone call from the Wiener Staatsopera, from the Vienna State Opera, and they want me to conduct Onegin. I said, well, that's great. I said, that's wonderful, isn't it? Yes, but I don't know if I know the piece enough, he said to me. And he had been doing this piece, this was, the second run he had been doing, I'm sure. But this is interesting, this constant doubt. This constant doubt is a quality. you know, it shouldn't be, the constant doubt can be negative and can be positive. I would like to have that constant doubt as positive, not as reducing your capacity to do something, but I mean to encourage that search that you have. And so what I'm looking at is when I don't look at cut and paste. I don't look for, oh, she has done it, that's great, we will take that. No, I'm trying to understand that person and to read behind what I see and what I hear, and try to, you know, to assess that person, whether it is on an administrative basis or whether it is as an artist. That I think that's important, that we let's try. I want to try to open doors, to try, you know, to open doors for the people I'm working with, you know, taking them somewhere else, you know, than what giving them, helping them seeing different colors and hearing different sounds, you know, this is what I'm trying. I mean, I'm sure I fail a lot, you know, it's but it's trying to, or fail to better succeed, you know, I would think.
Right.
You know.
Well, and with that, you know, I'm very thankful here for Serge to come.
Thank you so much for listening.
For here to be with us, and I know that we are going to move to a private session with you, with the conductors of Dallas. But for everybody that joined to the session, thank you very much, and keep watching the online program of the Heart Institute this week. So thank you very much, David Lomelí here.
Thank you so much. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.
Take care.